Good morning, my people. Welcome back to our channel. We are here again with a shocking information. Somebody is telling Tinubu what he would do to offset the debt the Nigerian government is owing. Trillions and billions and of course, the debt. So let's hear the miracle that they want to tell him to do.
Jimo Ibrahim hints Tinubu on how to settle Nigeria's debt in 90 days. Senator-elect and billionaire business mogul Dr. Jimo Ibrahim has hinted to President Bola Tinubu on how to offset Nigeria's debt in 90 days. According to him, financial authorities in the country should approach five EXIM banks and collect a loan that is five times the current debt. Niger News reports that the senator-elect made this proposition when he was featured on Channel Television's Politics Today. The lawmaker said, "I can give you a strategy that can make you pay back the debt in 90 days. All you have to do is to call five EXIM banks, including China's EXIM Bank. Take a loan about five times whatever you're owing currently. Do a bridge gap financing and then pay off what you're owing. Then you will have a surplus. Do a repayment program for 40 years and then have an honorarium period of 10 years, and you're out of the debt." Speaking further about the insecurity and Boko Haram insurgency that has ravaged the nation for over a decade, Ibrahim explained that insurgency the insurgency is a political problem. Therefore, the president should return Nigerian troops back to their barracks. He advanced that Boko Haram is a political problem. You have to socialize politically to solve Boko Haram. The first thing Mr. President has to do is to withdraw soldiers from the front line and return them back to the barracks. Children that left NDNA as lieutenants have become major generals, and the war is still there. Is the military a challenge to ourselves? No. Ibrahim, who faulted the strategy used by the authorities in the northeast to tackle the insurgency, revealed that the country has spent about $1.2 trillion fighting insurgency within the last 10 years. While preferring solutions, he noted that instead of deploying troops, the Nigerian government should look for information gathering, socialization. You need to meet stakeholders and you need to have meetings. He urged the president to go into political socialization. You have to socialize domestically. Assuming you have spent 10% of $1.2 trillion on political socialization, Boko Haram would have disappeared. But you have spent 89% on a factor that is not significant to confront Boko Haram. Boko Haram will still be there. Dr. Ibrahim has argued that the EXIM banks are willing to lend money to countries with a high potential for economic growth and that Nigeria fits this criterion. He has further explained that the loan would be used to finance infrastructural projects that would stimulate economic growth and increase the country's revenues generation capacity. It is evident that Dr. Jimo Ibrahim, who is a senator-elect and billionaire business mogul, has suggested a solution to Nigeria's high debt problem. He proposes that Nigeria approaches five EXIM banks to collect a loan that is five times the current debt. Dr. Ibrahim believes that Nigeria fits this criterion of countries with high economic growth potentials, and thus the EXIM banks are willing to lend us money. The proposal is designed in such a way that the loan would be used to finance infrastructural projects that will stimulate economic growth and increase the country's revenue generation capacity. Overall, Dr. Ibrahim's solution could be a viable option for Nigeria to reduce its debt and stimulate economic growth. However, it is important to note that Nigeria's government officials must carefully consider the terms and conditions of this loan before accepting it to avoid getting the country into more debt. He also shared his views on the insecurity and Boko Haram insurgency that has plagued Nigeria for over a decade. He believes that the insurgency is a political problem and that Nigerian troops should be returned to their barracks. According to should be returned to their barracks. He stated that Boko Haram is a political problem and therefore requires a political solution. He further emphasized that socializing politically is the key to solving the insurgency. He believes that withdrawing soldiers from the front line and returning them back to their barracks is the first step that the president should take in addressing this issue. Dr. Ibrahim's stance is not to involve military power in resolving the insurgency, and that significant political measures can be taken to solve the problem. Overall, this article showcases the views of Mr. Jim Ibrahim on the Boko Haram. While the suggestions offer a different perspective on the issue, it is important to note that addressing the insurgency would require a comprehensive and multifaceted approach that may include political and military measures.